Institutional racism refers to the systemic policies, practices, and structures within institutions that create and maintain racial inequalities. Unlike individual racism, which involves personal prejudices, institutional racism is embedded in the rules and procedures of organizations, such as schools, workplaces, and legal systems. These structures can lead to disparities in opportunities, treatment, and outcomes for different racial groups, even without direct intentional discrimination. Institutional racism often develops over time through historical inequalities that continue to influence present-day systems. Because it is built into institutions, it can be difficult to identify and address, making long-term change challenging. Now let's look at some causes. One major cause of institutional racism is historical discrimination that shaped the policies and systems still in place today. Laws and practices from the past can leave lasting effects on education, employment, and housing, making it difficult for some groups to overcome disadvantages. Another cause is biased decision-making, even when it is unintentional. If policies are created without considering how they affect different racial groups, they can reinforce inequalities. Additionally, lack of representation in leadership positions can contribute to institutional racism, as decision-makers may not fully understand the challenges faced by marginalized groups. Without diverse perspectives, institutions may continue policies that unintentionally disadvantage certain communities. Now let's look at some examples. In education, institutional racism can appear in unequal access to resources, where some schools receive more funding, better facilities, and more experienced teachers than others. This can create gaps in academic achievement and future opportunities. In the workplace, hiring and promotion practices can sometimes favour certain groups, while making it harder for others to advance. Institutional racism can also be seen in healthcare, where differences in access to medical care and treatment options can lead to disparities in health outcomes. These examples show how racial inequalities can persist even without explicit discrimination from individuals. Addressing institutional racism requires intentional efforts to change policies, practices, and decision-making structures. One solution is to examine and reform institutional policies to ensure they promote fairness and equal access to opportunities. For example, schools can implement policies that provide equal funding and resources to all students, regardless of their background. Another solution is increasing diversity in leadership positions so that decision-makers reflect the communities they serve. This can help create policies that consider different perspectives and experiences. Additionally, educating people about institutional racism can raise awareness and encourage individuals within institutions to advocate for change. By making systemic adjustments, institutions can create more equitable environments and reduce racial disparities over time.